Here is a 2024 Toyota Camry XSE in celestial silver with leather interior, which gets all the bells and whistles, and you can even option a two-tone on the exterior if you do the wind chill pearl white. The whole top could be gloss black. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and in the front, you're gonna notice the grille is different. You get the sport mesh inserts. XLE will get the horizontal bars that will be in the gloss gray, whereas this gets the gloss black elements that highlight the headlamp assembly with LED headlights and daytime runnings. And I like how they put the gloss black here. Even though it's a non-functional vent, it keeps a styling performance. And the reason why I say you want that for the XSE is because what's housed underneath this hood. A 3.5 liter V6 producing 301 horsepower and 267 pound-feet of torque, paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and it's still achieving 22 mpgs for the city and 32 mpgs for the highway, paired with a sport-tuned suspension. So if you don't want to go TRD, because maybe you don't like the aero kit because it looks like it's double-sided taped on through the side of the vehicle, you still get a sport suspension here. 19-inch gloss black alloy wheels will be on the XSE. The XLE will get 18-inch, and going into the TRD will get 18-inch matte black wheels. I personally would do the two-tone with the white and the black, because with the gloss black elements that highlight the rest of the vehicle, and the side skirt bulges out on the XSE, which it doesn't do that on the XLE. And if you go LE, you're getting 16-inch wheels. So you want it to be sporty, and you want it to be under 40-ish or right at $40,000, this is going to tick the box. The refresh is going to change the appearance on the exterior and on the exterior. But we still don't know if we're going to be able to option this V6 engine. And when you go XSE opposed to TRD, who needs Brembo brakes? It's the same power underneath the hood, and yet we're getting brakes that you could change at home. It's not a dual piston, so you don't have to worry about spending $100 just for front brakes because of styling aesthetics. Now, it would be nice if they painted the calipers because this is the top tier. But I can understand what they're doing because they offer an SE, which if you're in 5 different states in the US, which is Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida, you would get red brake caliper covers and the gloss black elements, but you're not going to get the sport tuned suspension nor this engine option. And the XSE doesn't stop there. Gloss black shark fin antenna, trunk lip spoiler, which you're not going to receive on the XLE. The TRD will have a more aggressive spoiler, LED taillights, and the lower gets quad tips, similar to the TRD, but you're going to have the diffuser. It's going to have a catback exhaust, so it's going to make a little bit more noise. Go to the XLE, and it's only going to have dual exhaust outlets. I don't mind dual exhaust outlets either, but this one sounds a little bit more sporty compared to that variant. Quick release going into 15.1 cubic feet of storage with bag holders on the sides. Underneath the floor gets the jack. And put this here so that way it will hold. And underneath that you get a spare tire. Split fold the rear bench in the back of the cargo. And this will go at a 40-60 split. You will have about 4 inches of a lip, but it will open up the space to the Camry. Let's go inside and start up this V6 so you can hear that exhaust note. Ten-way power seat adjustment, leather starts on the XLE, heated and ventilated. You can also option on the XLE. Headroom and leg room for the driver focus Camry. Before the redesign of 2025, you're going to have the mesh inlays with the gloss black satin aluminum and that driver focus setup with a 9-inch touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio with 9 speakers through JBL sound system, including a subwoofer and amplifier, which you can option all the way down to the Night's Edition. 360-degree reverse camera is part of the front and rear parking sensors and the ventilated seat option, which also includes the bird's eye view. Dual climate control settings, a wireless charging pad, which starts as an option on the XLE, 12-volt USB, and the key fob for the Camry. driver mode select, and it's going to be soft to touch, opens up, and it's a long, deep storage pocket with 2 USB ports, leather wrap steering wheel, multi-function, optional for heated, with the paddle shifts, 7-inch gauge cluster that can go through an array of information, including Toyota Safety Sense 2.5 Plus. The dashboard and door panels can figure in together right in here, and it's going to be soft to touch where it needs to be, one touch up and down for all the windows, and a medium-sized storage pocket with 2 beverage holders carved out. A long panel moonroof that goes to the back that starts on the XLE. It is an option for the 4-cylinder and an auto-dimming rear view mirror. For the back seat headroom, as long as you're against the headrest more or less, you should be fine if you're over 6 foot. If not, you're going to be grazing a bit. Leg space is not too bad. Storage behind both of the front seats with air vents, armrests with cup holders, and the door is going to be the same materials as the front, so soft to touch pretty much everywhere where it needs to be, with a smaller storage pocket with 2 beverage holders carved out. Sliding into the center, the rails are pushed up enough. This hump here that's in the floor, you could possibly put your feet here, but you're going to be sitting so high up it's going to be uncomfortable for a long journey. So you'll share some feet space, butt and shoulder space, but for the most part it isn't too bad as long as the back seat here isn't pushed all the way. For headroom though, it's going to be a little bit tight. Because of the panel, it makes it workable. XSE with a sport-tuned suspension and 301 reasons for me to use the paddle shifts. She's fast. The V6 engine does a great job, naturally aspirated, something that may be discontinued, hopefully not, with 267 pound-feet of torque. I prefer the TRD catback exhaust because with this setup, you hear just a touch of the exhaust note. I like the styling because you get the quad tips in the back and you get the sport grille. The side skirts flare out. It's not a track-driven vehicle, don't get me wrong, but it's a sedan that's more towards the sporty style when you go XSE. That's going to take me to some pros and cons, starting with the pros. Each trim level has its own unique style. This is something that the rivals are kind of doing, but they're really forcing you to be more tier-based, which you can option features. You can still option features if you don't like the sport style and the sport suspension. You could go XLE and get basically the same exact car with the same engine option, or you can even go to a 4-cylinder. You can't do this when you go into Honda. Another pro about the vehicle is that sport tuned suspension, because look what you can do. You can maneuver the vehicle, and this is just right at $40,000. There's not a lot of vehicles that you can say has the performance in the sense of over 300 horsepower, 0 to 60 right around 6 seconds or less, and yet you can move in and out. It's not a perfect 50-50 weight distribution, but at this price, I wouldn't expect it to be this dynamic anyways. Some other pros, if you are comparing this to any German rival, in which I know people in the comments are gonna say, whoa, can't compare it to them because you're getting a lot more performance. Not really. It's almost or right at the same numbers in horsepower. You have more room in the back seat, and cargo capacity is going to be better in some cases, especially if you're thinking about optioning a BMW 330i. This is going to be more performance driven than that, and you'll have more interior space than that vehicle. Going against rivals in its class, like the Kia K5, the GT is going to be faster. You expect that. But the GT line, which is getting the style on the exterior for that sport look, it still doesn't look as sporty as this, and we're getting ready to go through a refresh, which takes me to some cons. We're getting a full refresh. We don't know if this engine option will be available, and then when you're looking at an option for the TRD or this, the only thing that I like so much about the TRD is that exhaust note, because listen to this. it's not as potent as that catback exhaust. Turn radius, we're gonna try to do it at somewhat of a stop point. It's about 2 and a part lane. Now we get the chance to open her up. That way you can hear it just a little bit better. The engagement is good, and that takes me to the one big problem. Should you option a TRD, deck it out, and pay maybe a couple grand more so you get the exhaust note, get this without the exhaust note and just do aftermarket, or wait for a 2025? Only reason why I would suggest a 2025 is because of the way the dashboard layout is. The driver focus setup works, but I don't like the taxi cab look that they do with the 9-inch infotainment screen. It's just thrown out there and it's pushed more towards the front windscreen than it is towards the driver, even though it's a driver focused setup. Who cares about a digital gauge cluster? The exterior on these two trims look the most dynamic, and you're getting them for about 40 grand. So when you're considering if you option a 25, it's going to increase the price because they just went through a refresh. Plus, you may not get this V6 engine. Obviously, you can do some aftermarket work to put that catback exhaust, and you can tune the suspension yourself. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like, and I'd like to thank Gettles Stadium Toyota for giving us this 2024 Toyota Camry XSE for our car review.